My name is Jake McKenna. I am a ServiceNow Architect. Realistically, when RapDev really works with customers in ITAM, really our focus is mostly about going through scenarios where they have audited, they need to start doing asset management, and there's a lot of panic in most customers that say we're not doing this, we're not doing it well. Kind of like the light gets shined on them. So where we help, or we are able to kind of expand that help is to say, where do you start? What tools do you use? What things can you leverage? How do you really kind of get this off the ground and running? So you're not flat-footed, you're not getting still slammed by the auditors, understanding where your license metrics are and everything else. So it's really kind of our place to kind of go in there and give them an idea of where they're at, right? Use our tools. We built a tool itself called Asset and CI Insights, which is really kind of there to dedicate to help customers, whether they use us or not, to still understand what's going on in their environment so that they can have a good, trustworthy data set in their environment and know kind of where to go from that standpoint too. Asset management is important because that's how you know what you're spending financially, what's in your environment, what's operational. You know what software you're using. Everything else from asset management is really kind of an important foundational characteristic that every organization really has. Right? You're buying laptops, you're buying software, not knowing where those are at when you need to understand there's a vulnerability, hey, we're getting audited by IBM, how much are we actually using this software? All those things really kind of come into play. So it's hard for anybody to say that they don't need asset management, especially at an enterprise level. It's a critical task that every process owner really needs to kind of think about. When we talk about setting for success or how would we start these type of projects, really it's about looking in your environment. What data sources are you using? What has been integrated into ServiceNow? What tools do we have? Looking at it from a procurement side too. So the whole dating to haunting, as we call it in many ways from asset management, is to say, where are we at from a start? How do we request new software? How do we request new hardware? Who does that go to? How do we know what's actually being delivered on our docks? Down to even the haunting aspect of it, which is, we've decommissioned it, retired it, disposed of it. We need that certificate of destruction. We need to know how to track that. So the whole concept of asset management is where we're trying to help customers and to make sure they're aware of where that is, how to phase that approach, how to kind of go into that whole program and not get stuck with getting too boil the ocean, kind of overdoing it too fast in this case too. So kicking it off is an ITAM program really comes down to a few things, looking at who do we have responsible, do we have people, do we have the processes in place, what is it that we're really trying to achieve? So it's taking that crawl, walk, run approach that ServiceNow really loves to adopt. And I think it really fits well into ITAM because you can do pieces, you can do parts of it and start to really get that full end-to-end perspective. But getting that starting gate is really looking at, what is it that's really impacting us the most? What do we have the least focus on? Is it end user devices? Is it servers? Where do we really want to start this whole adventure? And how then we can expand it from there. So it's not doing it all at once, but it's kind of breaking it down and making it more of a sizable chunks in this case too. A lot of customers, when we work with them, they start with ITSM or they start with a little bit more of a shift over from an old tool to ServiceNow. And sometimes there's neglect that happens in CMDB. So really what we're trying to do is look at that data and say, how much can we actually use this? So the biggest challenges and everything that we see with customers really comes down to the trustworthy data aspect or kind of knowing what you trust. And I think that is what we've tried to instill within our Asset and CI Insights tool is kind of looking at what are the things that people forget about, the back end aspects of it, looking at the company table or tables that you really wouldn't think of are really important to asset management, but play a huge role in making sure that we haven't just forgotten the little guys in this case too. So that kind of approach of kind of thinking about it and using those kind of tools to kind of sanitize, what's there is kind of some of the things that we definitely focus on. I think when we talk about too with our customers about what is it that they kind of benefit from doing this or using us, like what we kind of expand from that whole role is that you think about it this way. If we get asset management up and running, we get that trustworthy data, that helps us with DevOps, that helps us with anything else that they would want to do from a future perspective too, because now we have that CMDB in a healthy state. We kind of know what we're kind of working with. And that data kind of transcends to improving your ITSM approaches, improves your request chains, your DevOps, anything from ITAM too. So if you're looking to expand in that element also, like that's where like you have confidence in what you're doing, and that's just going to make it even easier to use the ServiceNow platform. Because we have a good relationship with ServiceNow, we really do leverage that asset management kind of expansions and look for opportunities to kind of improve what we're doing. Being kind of engineer focused, we're out there kind of helping them design new and great features. So when they talk about, how do we improve software asset management to make it more automated, we're looking into our chatbot. How can that improve people knowing, hey, you have a request for new software, or reclamation actions to say that we're no longer going to find the software usable on your PC. What can we do? And we were able to kind of build out kind of cool, new, unique solutions to give customers kind of that action that says, wow, that really makes it better than just using email, and kind of improving their workflows on top of that. I think that's where we in ServiceNow really have meshed well together.